Hey guys, Coach Marcus here with Warrior Meets Scholar. Just wanted to put together a tutorial video for anybody that follows that's looking into getting into boxing, kickboxing, whatever. Basics of how to wrap your hands. Now, a few disclaimers. The way I'm about to demonstrate is my preferred way to wrap my hands. It's how I teach all the students coming into the gym to wrap their hands. However, I always let them know that there are other ways to wrap your hands. If you don't like this way, that's fine. If you find another way that you like better for your hands, go for it. Okay guys, so I got my hand wraps here. These are the ones that I'm currently using. They're stretchy, they're a little bit stretchy. They're not the real stiff ones. These are actually from Eminent Air Gym in Bangkok, Thailand. So if you're there, go see them. They also have a gym in Singapore and they are awesome. I'm not sure what brand wraps these are. Really, it doesn't matter as long as they're good quality. So in hand wraps, you always have a looped end and a Velcro end. Basics of that. Sometimes you'll see writing, it says this side down. These do not have that. So how I know which side goes down is I have this seamed, ugly stitch side, and then I have a neat seamed stitch side. The ugly side goes down on these specific wraps. Your wraps may vary. So to start how I do this, I'm gonna start with my left hand. So this is my left. All right. So what I do is I take this loop and I put it around my index finger. And what I do is to develop my, what I'm gonna do is just this little padding that I put on my knuckles. I wrap it around my hands about 3 times and you have this little layer of padding, okay? So what this is I'm gonna layer this right over top of my knuckles. So this is this extra padding to protect my knuckles. So some of my bags are pretty hard and my gloves currently are really old. So I basically out-hit the padding on them, but I just haven't replaced them yet. So I actually need a little bit more protection on my knuckles. But generally speaking, I do 3 wraps. If you need to do 4, do 4. Everybody's gonna have a different preference. So then what I do is I have the long end between my thumb and my index finger. Okay, that's so I can keep this wrap in place, all right? So I'll wrap this underneath my hand and then I'll secure it, okay? So I won't secure it super tight on the first wrap, but the second wrap, I'll get it a little bit tighter. So it's nice and snug. You don't want it too tight because you'll cut the circulation off in your hand and that starts to hurt really bad. So at this point, I want to keep all of my fingers open, okay? This becomes the hard part for newbies because they generally want to keep their hands like closed like this. But you don't want that, you want them like this. If you close them like this, the wrap gets too tight and that's when it starts to hurt your hand because it starts cutting circulation off. So you keep them open, that way you have a good wrap and it's, you don't basically put your hand to sleep, all right? So then what I do is, I'm on the thumb side with the long end. What I do now is I go down around the outside of my hand and down around my wrist. So I'm over the top of the thumb. One of the other key things here that's super important is I always keep my hand palm down. That gives me a reference point. So I'm wrapping the wrap around my hand. I don't want to start twisting and moving because then you get confused on where you're at a lot of times. Until you get really good at wrapping your hands, you want to keep your hand in one direction, okay? So what I'll do now is I'll secure the wrap around my wrist to give me some good wrist support. So I have weaker wrists. I actually have very dainty wrists. So I need a little bit more wrist support. So what I'll do is I'll wrap my wrist once, twice. You know what? I'm going to go 3 times today. Everybody's going to have their preference here. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3, but I'll go 3 today. All right. So again, you want to make it snug, but not so tight that you're cutting the circulation off to your hand. All right. So now the long end, again, is laying over the thumb side. Okay. So you take the long end and you wrap underneath your hand. Okay, in between your index finger and middle finger, and you wrap it over top of your thumb, okay? Now, disclaimer, I do not like to wrap my thumb, so I don't do it, If you like to wrap your thumb, this would be one of the places that you would wrap your thumb across like this. I don't like that, so I'm not going to demonstrate it here. Like I said, if you like to wrap your thumb, go for it. More power to you. However, I'm not a big fan. All right, so I keep this, and I keep this a little bit snug, and then what I do is I wrap from underneath my thumb over to the outside of my hand on the pinky side. So that comes underneath, over top, and across. So what I'm doing here is I'm securing this wrap between my index finger and middle finger, okay? It snugs up the hand across again, so you add this added support so these metacarpals here don't start to spread when you punch something, okay? Because that's what causes your breaks. So you come back underneath again from the pinky side to the thumb side, all right? So essentially you're just crisscrossing your wraps, okay? And then I start working the next set of fingers. So that's the middle finger and ring finger, okay? So you'll get your wraps a little bit twisted up as you're wrapping this, which is fine. So you just unweave them, okay? And then I secure it the exact same way again. I come underneath and then over top of the knuckles or over top of the hand and then around again. And then down over top towards the thumb, okay? So make sure it's nice and secure. Make a fist a couple times each time you go through each set of fingers. That way you know that you're not wrapping your hand too tight. This should feel pretty comfortable but snug when you make a fist like this, okay? Because you're gonna make a fist and clench your fist as you make impact, all right? So you wanna be able to do that comfortably. So now I do the last set of fingers, okay? Here. Secure it in place again, okay? And now I'm back to my wrist, and I actually have the perfect amount of Velcro left to secure around my wrist. So the remainder of the wrap I put around my wrist, okay? And that's a nice secure, so you see the little padding here over my knuckles, no skin exposed, so I won't get any skin wear or brush burns or anything peeling off of my knuckles in the glove if my hand starts to slide. It feels nice and secure apart. When I make a fist, I can feel the outside of my hands pressing against the cloth, so I know that my hand is wrapped tight enough. My hand isn't turning purple or white. It's just a little bit snug, but it's not so snug that I am going to lose circulation. This will start hurting after a couple minutes. Okay, so that's your left hand. All right, we're going to go to the right hand next. All right, hey guys, so I got my hand wrap here for my right hand. So that's this hand here. So again, what I do is I take my hand wrap and I identify which side goes down, which this ugly stitch side is the part that goes downward for these wraps. Sometimes it'll tell you which way. Each hand wrap is going to be different. Sometimes you'll get some errors on which way the wrap goes. So sometimes you'll have one that is actually opposite of the other. I've had that happen before. It's really not a big deal. It's just how it works. So just remember, some of these are sewn day in and day out in some other parts of the world. So just make do with what you got. All right, so first thing again, I'll wrap this around my hand. 1, 2, and 3 times, okay? So then I'll remove it, and I'll make it nice and snug and nice and neat, okay? So this is your padding again to go over your knuckles. So I'm going to set this right here, okay? And you secure it with your thumb. That way it holds it in place, and then you come underneath. Sorry, I'm hitting my phone here. On my jack because I'm going on the opposite side. All right, so that one again isn't super tight, but the next one I'm going to snug a little bit tighter, okay? Now once you get this snug tighter, you can start making a little bit of adjustments to make sure this padding is square on your knuckles. Let me get this camera to stop. All right, there we go. All right, so now I'm nice and secure. Remember, keep your fingers open like this. Also, palm down. That way you don't lose your reference point on where you're going with your wrap, okay? So first thing we do from the thumb side is we come underneath the hand, okay? Apologize for the hitting this. All right, so you come over top. So now I'm on the thumb side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap my wrist. This time I'm only going to do twice, okay? So there's one, and let me untwist this, and two. Okay, so I've wrapped my wrist twice, all right? So what I want with this one with twice is, one, this is the stronger wrist. Two, I want a little bit more wrap around my wrist at the end. If you remember from the left side, I had just enough. I want to show you guys what to do when you have a little bit more than what I had left. All right, so now we start underneath. We go under the thumb between these two fingers here. So we come underneath and over top. And like I said when I was wrapping my left hand, I do not like to wrap my thumb. There's a lot of people I know that love to wrap their thumb. They do it all the time. That's great. More power to you. My personal preference is I do not like my thumb wrapped, so I don't do it. I've never had a problem with not wrapping my thumb. So I'll come underneath like this to secure it in place to the outside of the pinky, over top of the hand. That secures this line in place. And then I pull it snug, okay? And then I finish my wrap underneath the palm to the outside, and then I'll pull it up over towards my thumb. So, okay? So then I do the next set of fingers. So that's my middle finger and my ring finger, okay? So I come underneath again, okay? So the wrap is over top of your hand. So I bring it from the bottom of the hand to the outside like this, okay? Snug it across so that it's pulling the outside of my hand a little bit snug, so it keeps my the metacarpals in my hand from spreading too much. And my wrap's getting a little bit twisted here because I got stuff in my way, so let me unwrap it here. All right, so I come across, and then I'm back down to my thumb side again. So that leaves my ring finger and my little finger, and those don't move separately, they have to move together because I'm kind of a moron like that. They'll go in between those two fingers there. So I'll come underneath like this, okay? That secures it in place. Underneath, now I want to secure the wrap from the outside, underneath again, and then I go underneath, and now I have a little bit more wrap left. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm just going to wrap the rest of this around my wrist to give me a little bit more security around my wrist at the end, okay? And then I secure that in place. I make sure that it's nice and good. I make a fist, it's comfortable, nothing feels loose. You have the padding over the knuckles. That way you don't shred up your knuckles, and you don't get blisters, you don't get skin coming off, because that can get infected and make it really difficult to train. So one thing that you can do is, if you realize that you made a mistake, sometimes the wrap will actually be upside down because you didn't realize that your wrap went a certain way. So for example, what would happen is when I have stuff left, I would have this, and now my Velcro is on the wrong side. Easy fix for that. So, like you said, to do that, so if you realize that's the case, all you do is you just make one little twist into the wrap, and you just pull it tight, okay? And then that flips the Velcro around. So you see how my Velcro is the right way? Now it's the wrong way. That's the easy fix for that. And then the wrap would come around normal again, where the Velcro will be in the correct position. You secure it nice and tight, and then you are ready to train. All right, so goal time, 30 seconds per hand. This was a tutorial, so this is taking me about 5 minutes, but you should be able to wrap your hands in 30 seconds or less. That's the goal. And it doesn't take a high level of skill to achieve that, just some practice. All right, keep living that warrior meets scholar life.